Hello, we're the last team to present. Our project entitles Regenerative Landscapes, Integration of Waste Management in Vallejo Industrial Zone. Our project focuses on speculating on a new waste system which aims to reframe the pejorative basis which waste historically holds. Being that said, our research question reads as follows. To what extent can the industrial sector be decarbonized through waste management in Vallejo, and what socio-spatial implications and benefits can arise from it? Our hypothesis is based upon stopping waste curves to landfills. This action is done in order to obtain either prime matter, energy, or to reduce greenhouse gases emissions. To contextualize the global panorama, Mexico stands at the 25th place of the OECD countries regarding recycling waste of the total produced. The graph in the middle shows the budget granted to the landfills used by the metropolitan region of Mexico City, exceeding the budget granted to public education system. Lastly, the graph on the right illustrates a global trend, which is the relation between the GDP and urban solid waste generation. Although Mexico has an established industry based upon recycling, the national reality is frightening. Only 13% of the final disposition sites are landfills. The remaining 87% are open-air dumps. In order to contextualize Mexico City's current situation, we're going to talk about the evolution of waste management in the capital, which relies on three phases. Firstly, uncontrolled sites were used since colonial times until 1985. These sites present severe environmental damages. Secondly, there are controlled sites which emerged after the closure of uncontrolled sites and the 1985 earthquake. They also constitute the time when some leaders of informal recycling emerge. Even though the threat is lower, they still represent environmental damage. Lastly, we have landfills. Although they began being built in 1987 at the west part of the city, nowadays all the waste which isn't recycled travels to this type of site, located at the outskirts. In order to dive deeper in the current waste management scenario, we made this graph showing the curves that the 30,000 tons of waste generated in the city follows daily. The stages are as follows. Firstly, the collection of waste to the transfer station takes place. Afterwards, a part of it goes to a selection plant to get sorted or directly to a final disposition site. It's important to note that we see an opportunity here due to two main factors. Firstly, 45% of the waste captured by the system ends in landfills, and secondly, 38% of the total waste generated by the city doesn't even enter the system. In order to specialize the Sankey diagram shown before, we made this map with the 5 landfills used by Mexico City. The first 3 are the busiest landfills, and 2 of them are used by Vallejo Industrial Zone, which are Naucalpan, Bicentenario, and La Cañada. This view focuses on Vallejo's landfills specifically. The price of disposing waste on these sites sum up to 115 million pesos annually, without taking transportation into account. In order to deal with the issue represented by waste, we look upon solutions which rely on waste management system to obtain benefits, starting from informal recycling, industrial ecology, energy production, and landscaping possibilities derived from the regeneration of landfills. For choosing a site inside the industrial zone of Vallejo, we firstly made a context analysis looking in public spaces such as commercial areas, parks, and universities, as well as the city's urban mobility network, industrial zones, and waste management infrastructure in Vallejo. Secondly, we analyzed the inside of Vallejo's industrial zone and identified warehouses and maneuvering yards in green, primary industries in red, and most importantly, abandoned and underused space in blue. Additionally to this, we identified some buildings across the railways that are of interest. We started to note an opportunity on an open area located between the roads, the mobility network, and the existing waste management infrastructure. Lastly, in order to obtain the area needed for implementing waste treatment infrastructures, we identify other underused spaces and warehouses close to the chosen site, which would allow us to connect the flows and the urban fabric. On this slide, we see a satellite image that shows the intervention site with the components identified previously. It's important to note here the concerns that arise from pedestrian mobility. In order to delimit the waste we would be treating, we made this diagram showing the waste that already arrives to the transfer and sorting plant in Vallejo. Combined, they sum 1,680 tons of waste daily, which needs 10 different processes to be dealt with. To specialize the area needed, we research existing infrastructure that deals with similar quantities. Using ton per hectare relation, we made this diagram to translate the quantification of the Sankey diagram into square meters, resulting 14 hectares. Afterwards, we began distributing the program by area on the site according to each treatment specific needs, proximity to railroads and to the existing transfer station. Parallel to determining the location by size, we established the connection network. Using the existing railroads and implementing new lines, we came up with a system which distributes waste throughout the plants, departing from the transfer station and forming a closed loop. The site line depicts the main flow and the relationship established between the project and its context. This section goes through the organic cluster, depicting a bridge that departs from the Alameda Reynosa to the Digester area, on the other side of the railroads. This is the actual state of the site, and this is our proposal. This perspective depicts the pet plant and our interest on establishing a dialogue with the abandoned construction located in the site. And lastly, this vignette shows the convergence of all major agents in the project at the center of the proposal. Using formal elements, we can avoid the existing barriers. We believe that waste management opens up an opportunity to contribute into the decarbonization of urban centers, introducing the right management and turning into people in order to create a structural change in society regarding waste.